Hi folks, my name is Scott Morrow and I am a PEF-funded Principal Teacher of Numeracy for 4 schools in South Ayrshire. Today I'd like to take you through my proposal for how the conceptual understanding of maths can be developed most effectively through blended learning. One of the big questions occupying most educators' thoughts right now is, how do we most effectively support children's learning through blended learning? Traditionally, the link between the classroom and home has been made through the provision of home learning tasks. Skills are developed in the classroom and activities are sent home to provide opportunities to practice and apply that understanding. I propose to flip that relationship around. This will provide opportunities for children to investigate, develop and apply a skill at home in order that classroom practice can focus on consolidation, providing support where necessary, extending the learning by making links to alternative strategies, applying the strategies in different contexts, introducing new skills, and so on. This will provide opportunities to embed ongoing formative assessment practices and in turn plan the next step in the children's learning. It also provides the opportunity for parents to take a more proactive role in the development of key numeracy skills while supporting them to apply effective teaching methods that are consistent with classroom practice. I propose a consistent format from week to week in order to support families and teachers manage expectations as well as synchronise class and home-based learning practices. All necessary materials should be provided in advance of the home learning sessions. Links to online videos, online manipulatives and hard copies where necessary. One video lesson will be issued each week, which I suggest should be carried out over 2 days. This can then be followed by a class-based lesson following the same format in day 3, while day 4 aims to provide specific support where needed, consolidate understanding, assess and inform next steps. Where additional support is identified as being required, support materials should be made available as well as an invitation for parents to join an online workshop focused on the specific skill. The format of the lesson is consistent both at home and in the classroom and begins with sharing the learning intention. This should focus on a particular skill and therefore be suitable for all levels of ability within the class. So for example, we may be learning to solve addition problems by partitioning, rather than we are learning to solve 2-digit addition. It may be that we wish some pupils to apply partitioning to 2-digit values, however we want them to see that the strategy is consistent regardless of the number of digits. We begin by getting the children thinking. We do this by providing an initial discussion point or a challenge which is aimed at gauging prior learning, identifying current understanding, and drawing out any misconceptions they have. Ideally, this should be discussed with someone else so that they can share their thoughts and ideas. Following on from that, an investigative task is provided. Here, we set a problem that invites new learning. The aim is to develop mathematical reasoning and resilience through investigation, and we want to encourage collaboration with a parent or a sibling where possible. It's important to encourage visible thinking through the use of concrete materials and pictorial representations. So the focus is not simply on getting the right answer, it's understanding the process they've gone through to get that answer and be able to articulate that. Once they've completed the investigative task, it's time to discuss how they went about solving it themselves. So to begin with, we want to encourage them to articulate their thinking and the strategy that they used. This should also provide the opportunity to model the specific strategy that's being focused on today. We're now in a position to develop the success criteria with the children. With this success criteria, they are now equipped to apply that skill. Differentiated levels of challenge are provided, and children should aim to identify the level appropriate to their ability. It's far more valuable to demonstrate depth of understanding by solving a few problems using a strategy that the children can articulate, rather than completing a page of calculations where they're relying on remembering a process. The focus should be on the child's ability to explain their thinking rather than simply being able to get the correct answer. That can be done using manipulatives, drawing visual representations, and explaining verbally, any means by which they can make their thinking visible. Once they've completed the challenge questions, it's time to reflect on their learning for that day. We want to encourage children to identify the following. What new learning have they achieved today? What difficulties did they face? What strategies do they have to deal with those difficulties? and what are their next steps. Once the children have had the opportunity to reflect on today's learning, we give them the opportunity to apply that in a different context. This allows us to assess if they can transfer and apply that skill and informs our next steps. I would suggest that this lesson is broken down over 2 days. The first day provides the opportunity to introduce the learning intention, get the children thinking, investigate and then discuss the success criteria, preparing us for day 2 that allows the children to try out and apply that new skill, reflect on their learning and then apply in a new context. This prepares the children for the class-based sessions as they come to school with some understanding of the skill and an idea of the difficulties that they face. The first class-based session should begin by revisiting the learning intention and allow them to share their thoughts on the reflection questions that they discussed at home. Once again, this is followed by a task or an activity to get the children thinking. This could be by revisiting the discussion point from the video lesson or presenting an alternative Let's Get Thinking task. For example, a true-false can't tell. The answer is what is the question? Compare and contrast similar questions, or a game or activity that develops that understanding. This is followed once again by an investigative task. It may be that the initial investigation is revisited or an alternative challenge is set. Children can be given the opportunity to investigate the task with a partner where they're encouraged to make their thinking visible through the use of concrete materials and pictorial representations. The success criteria for the initial strategy should be developed with the children, but it may also provide an opportunity to develop success criteria for an alternative strategy. Once again, children should be given the opportunity to try that out. Children may wish to attempt a more challenging set of questions than they did at home, or it may be that an alternative set of differentiated questions are provided. These could be attempted independently, or pupils could be challenged to teach the strategy to a peer. The children should then be encouraged to reflect on their learning collaboratively by identifying what new learning they've achieved, what difficulties they've faced, what strategies they've used to deal with those difficulties, and their next steps. Once again, the lesson concludes with the application of that new skill. So it may be you wish to revisit the Let's Apply What We've Learned question or discuss an alternative question. By the end of this session, we should be able to identify children who are unable to apply the skill independently or with support, can apply the skill independently, and who require extended challenge. The final session should provide opportunities to support the individual needs of pupils by, for example, providing teacher support with an investigative task or modelling strategies using concrete materials and pictorial representations. Revisit success criteria and apply understanding in a range of contexts. Consolidate and embed understanding by providing further challenge questions, games, group tasks or online activities. Make up questions for peers and teach the skill to a peer. We should also look to challenge and extend the learning of those children that are able to apply the skill confidently. This can be done by providing challenge questions that invite new learning. So for example, if we've been looking at solving part-whole problems where we don't know the whole amount, we can provide questions where part is unknown. Or we may provide 3-part problems or comparison problems. This session should provide the opportunity to make informed judgments about the children's depth of understanding and in turn inform the next steps for teaching and learning. When planning a strategy for blended learning, it's important to consider potential barriers. What if families have no online access? A hard copy of the online lesson should be sent home in advance and children should be given access to concrete materials. Families fail to engage with the online video lessons. Both the home and school lessons should focus on the same skill. This should ensure that there are no gaps in learning created by failure to engage in the online lessons, as the class-based sessions are aimed at consolidating and assessing the children's understanding of the skill. So all children are experiencing a quality learning session, whether it be both at home and at school or just at school. What about those parents who are unfamiliar with up-to-date teaching practices? Naturally, they're inclined to revert back to the strategies that they were taught themselves at school. It's important that the strategies taught in school and home are consistent, so demonstration videos will be made available explaining specific strategies and how manipulatives and pictorial representations can develop deeper learning. Parent workshops will also be provided which focus on specific skills. And what about the time constrictions on parents? Those parents like myself who struggle to find a balance between their own work commitments and taking on the role of homeschool teacher. The video lessons provided follow a consistent format where the use of resources and pictorial representations are explained to support both parents and children. The consistent format of the lessons should allow for children to follow these independently or with parental support. Thank you for listening today. If you've got any questions or would like to provide any feedback, please contact me by email at scott.morrow@southayrshire.gov.uk. You can follow me on Twitter @ScottMorrowSA and subscribe to my YouTube channel, Scott Morrow Maths, where I'll be uploading more video lessons and how-to guides.